Hi everybody, I'm Pete Tonti. I play the guitar.
Hi, I'm Kevin Cooper and I play piano.
Bobby Scholz and I play the bass.
Brian Abrecht, I play guitar. I'm Jon Crow and I play the drums.
And we are Pete Tonti Band. So John and I have been playing together in band since we were about 13. A couple years ago, we decided to put together a new project. Basically, I had expressed interest in putting together a group to perform my original music, and I reached out to Kevin, who him and I have been playing together for a couple years, as well as our friend Nigel on the bass. And within a few rehearsals, I knew that the energy was just was really good, and we were all feeling really stoked about it and creating music together.
Yeah, the chemistry was already there between you and I.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pete writes great tunes as well. He's a great songwriter and as well as a multi-instrumentalist too. So, you know, he kind of sometimes would write songs and have them like rough demos recorded and send them to us to kind of work off of, you know. But it really helped with bringing the band together as far as tightness and, you know, bringing his vision together.
Definitely. By the fall of 2019, we had we were ready, about ready to start playing out. I would say we did 3 shows before the pandemic hit, and
Lanes was our first.
Our first was at Asbury Lanes, and 2 shows at the Stone Pony
with Nigel on bass.
With Nigel,
Mm-hmm.
Our original bass player. And then once COVID hit, we sort of fell into hiatus that lasted about a good 5-6 months. But then I started playing on the side with Brian and Bob as a trio, and it didn't take long when I realized, I think, you know, I really loved both of their playing and just the chemistry we had, and I invited them to join the band, and that's when we became a 5-piece and haven't looked back since.
Before that, there was your birthday. We played at Daydream Barn.
Right. On my birthday,
I was playing the bongos.
We did a live stream performance at the Daydream Farm in Wall Township with I think everybody, except Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't even in the band yet.
It was just an impromptu sort of little performance.
We both wore matching shirts. That was a little weird.
But not long after we began rehearsing with the new lineup. And I was just ecstatic about the sound and really loved everyone's input. The guys always come up with killer ideas and ways to, you know, keep the music flowing. We've done a handful of shows so far. We just released our first single today, actually, on all major streaming platforms. "Feeling Upside Down" is the title.
It's killer.
Also, I think our first show with these two was Snipes Farm, which we have out on Bandcamp, the live recording, which was mixed by Jeremy from Dogs in a Pile. So
shout out to the doggos.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Mm-hmm. Good buddies.
Also, me and Pete originally had a band together before this with Sandy Mack, which is kind of the whole.
Yeah, that's how we all started jamming together, us four at least.
Yeah,
the first time I jammed with either of you guys was at Sandy Mac Sunday.
Yeah, Sandy Mac Sunday's jams kind of brought a lot of people, including more people than us, just together in the scene in general. But,
Kevin, Sandy introduced Kevin and I back in, I want to say 2018, and then we started playing out as the Silky Crazy Nights. Then about a year later is when I met Brian and Bob around the same time. I want to say it might have been the same day.
Roughly,
I think.
Yeah,
I think I met you guys at the Sunday Jams too, or something.
Where was I?
Just not there, I guess.
Was I home yet, or?
Yeah, you were home, but you weren't.
Yeah,
you weren't there. Through playing together individually with Sandy, we all, you know, kept seeing each other, and we were always jamming anyway. And I had the idea for a while of adding a second guitarist to the group, just because I thought that would help fill out the sound and, you know, take things up a level. And shortly after I started playing with Brian, you know, I thought, you know, he would be a good fit. And at the same time, I really enjoyed Bob's bass playing, and when we needed a new bass player, he was the guy I turned to. So
The idea of the Pete Tonti Band stems back even further than that. I think we started talking about it back in like 2017, Or 2016?
Yeah, we had the idea going for a while, John and I, about forming a group to perform original music, but John was stationed in the Marine Corps, so we weren't able to get together on a regular basis to rehearse or work things out. But the idea was there for a number of years, and looking back on it, I'm glad that we were able to finally put it to fruition once he got out, and that it didn't just go to waste.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, even with Silky Crazy Nights, because I know we played, when we originally first started that band, we were doing Pete's originals, some of my originals, some of Sandy's originals, plus covers, but that's where we started playing Pete's song Time Fade.
I think we did Cold was another one.
Or did we, those were both,
we did.
Yeah.
Those were both in Crosswick too, like before we were in high school, you had those.
Yes,
so those were kind of songs that carried through, I guess, several projects that Pete did, but after we started playing together, I was absolutely thrilled to be in a band with him because, we just clicked musically ever since we started playing together. So
I was thrilled
really cool.
when Coop agreed to join, because just his amazing sound and input is, very much, what's the word? It's
helpful.
Appreciated. Undeniable.
I think that Coop thinks of things outside the box sometimes. Like I know personally I would never think of, and it just really helps evolve the music. It's really cool because Pete, is like an incredible songwriter, and then what's so great is you get like all 5 guys in the room, and it creates this like new life of it entirely. That's like, when like a band is like the whole is greater than like the individual parts that create it, so to speak.
Exactly.
And that's what's really fun about this group, I think, at least, is just when we all get together and all of our brains are kind of create something that's just like really incredible.
Definitely. I think everybody's, really useful as far as, what we bring to the table. We all have very different backgrounds musically, but very similar at the same time. So it's kind of cool because we all have a different perspective and approach as far as what we want to do or experiment with. But a lot of the times that approach ends up aligning with each other's anyway. And, we're both all very flexible people when it comes to practice and experimenting. And
we think along the same lines more times than not, and that's really helpful, like in the creative process, or when we're even when we're improvising. Just letting the music kind of take us places rather than vice versa. But the goal is for everyone to be showcased. Everyone's talent and ability, which comes out in every performance. Which I think was a goal from the get-go, because even though the name is Pete Tonti Band, like I still want everyone to have a chance to shine and be recognized, because like everyone's such incredible players, and so it should be noted.
Yeah, I remember before we even named it Pete Tonti Band officially and decided on the logo and everything, he even asked me what I felt about it, because he didn't want it to be all about him, obviously, and he was like, well, what do you think about the name? Should we change it maybe before we go fully into stuff? And I was like, you know what? I think let's just roll with it, because a lot of the music is his music, and that's like the core focus of the project, bringing Pete's ideas to life. But it's kind of a collaborative thing as far as even when we're doing his songs, like where we want to take it, how we want to meld the song or adapt it over time. And another thing is
how we orchestrate the jam, everything like that. Like we all have the individual musical freedom to kind of go off on a little tangent in a separate direction, because we all have faith that it's going to sound good, and we can still bring it back to the original song later on in the jam.
Yeah.
We take it with that jam band approach, where we have a structure, but we can go off as far as in the outer space and back we want, and sometimes we don't know.
Sometimes we don't even come back.
Right, sometimes we don't come back, and that's the beauty of it. Like, every time we walk on stage, there's only like a certain percentage of like what we know is going to happen, and the bigger percentage of what we don't know is going to happen, for me, is the exciting part.
Yep.
I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
And by the same token, Kevin's also a fantastic songwriter, and so I think having especially his ear, I value a lot, as with everyone, because he's been doing it like longer than I have, and he's the dad of the group.
I'm the oldest in the band too, so that kind of.
Thank you.
I have I guess a lot of experience being in bands, playing out live, doing a lot of the things that are involved with being in a band that you don't just see as far as playing out live and the music aspect. I mean, there's booking, promoting, getting an audience, selling tickets.
You don't just plug in and play. There's a lot behind
networking
that.
with other bands as well as venues, promoters, other media people, like what we're doing right now. I mean,
It's been a huge help, and just guidance.
As far as the band name, I mean, we decided to keep it Pete Tonti Band, and even our logo, it's PTB, which a lot of people at our shows kind of started calling us PTB anyway, and it kind of stuck. So I was like, you know what? I think it's cool that we can have that abbreviated as PTB, and it kind of does sound like its own thing, where it's not just Pete Tonti Band.
Right. Like, people know what it stands for, but it stands. Right.
It's like Fish. Fish was named after Fishman, the drummer of the band, but it's spelled PH, so people aren't really thinking John Fishman necessarily when they hear the name, but it's like an homage.
Right.
So
In the back of their minds.
yeah,
type
or
of thing,
Widespread Panic. Sometimes people abbreviate WSP.
J-Rad, Joe Russo's
J-Rad.
almost
Exactly.
Big
So
example of that.
J-Rad's perfect, yeah, because it's not all about Joe Russo.
Exactly.
Right.
He just put the group together, and they're J-Rad.
Yeah.
Awesome. Exactly. Like Brian was saying earlier, the sum of our parts, I think, is stronger than what we have individually. But at the same time, like, everyone's individual talent is showcased in the group. As far as our musicality is concerned, and I felt personally like the first time we took the stage with this lineup as a 5-piece, that there was just an incredible energy, something that I had never really obtained before in a musical setting, and I knew this was a group I wanted to stick with.
Likewise.
Sandy Mack reached out to me one day asking if we would want to play at Langosta as part of a show produced by We Star. But unfortunately, we couldn't get the whole band together. But me and Brian and our good friend Mike Carousel on bass played the set, and it was live streamed. But it's funny, little did any of us know that there was a contest going on at the same time where people vote, for their favorite performer of the night, because we shared a bill with 2 other bands. So when we got done, we hear everybody saying, "Oh, look how many people voted for you guys! Look how many people did that!" We're like, Brian and I look at each other like, "Voted for what?"
they were
We
joking.
thought it was a joke.
I called you because I was.
Yeah, John called me.
I was like, "Hey,
and,
congrats on winning or something." And you were just
Right.
like,
I was like, "Huh?"
"Wait, what?"
Yeah.
We didn't even know I didn't know we were in a contest. They didn't know they were in a contest.
They just thought of it as a performance.
It was
So-
just a
Fast forward some
last
weeks
minute
later.
I think it was originally just going to be the trio of just you, me, and Brian.
yeah.
Right,
I
you
mean,
couldn't
it was
do
just-
that.
Yeah,
So
I
we got
couldn't
Mike.
do it because I had something going on for my brother.
And Mike was the bassist in Silky Crazy Nights, actually, as well.
Also plays with the Doughboys,
And you play with Stompers, the
Ocean Avenue Stompers,
And who else?
Ian Gray's.
Shout out to Ian Gray.
The 2 other bands at night were Black Flamingos and the Ocean Avenue Stompers, and we were the last act. Fast forward a few weeks later, I received a phone call or an email, I forget which, about from We Star saying that they wanted us to do a shoot out of the Carousel building in Asbury with 2 songs filmed and recorded. So one day we got together with several other bands and did a session live out of the Carousel.
it was fun.
Yeah, it was cool. There was a lot of really cool artwork from a bunch of local artists and stuff hanging around, and
Cool. Some cool drone shots going on. Our buddy Bill Boyington.
Yeah.
Shout out to Billy.
yeah.
And we got a great photo by Jeff Crespi right by the water there, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got a lot of good
was
people.
cool.
We got a lot of good people helping us out. We got, Alvarosi takes pictures for us. Crespi,
Tony Plisco.
Matt Raspanti did
Yeah,
our,
Matt
Raspanti.
Raspanti.
our photo for our single cover.
Really good
these
photography.
guys.
We edited.
I can't name all of them. I'm gonna forget.
Yeah, those are the ones we've worked
Jay
with.
Decker live streams every show he goes
Yeah,
to, so we
yeah.
always got him.
I do remember chasing after the pup a couple times.
Oh yeah.
Bob's dog Jack Straw, quote unquote, our unofficial band manager.
Well, I didn't have him with me.
It was the dog.
Oh, the other dog,
Yeah,
right. Thank goodness he wasn't there. I think
He's a
it would have
good
been.
pup though.
But yeah, shout out to our band manager. Bob's,
Yeah.
Bob's
Straw.
dog.
Jack.
Straw.
I'm sure you'll see us soon.
Yeah, maybe. He you know.
Well, we got that one.
He locked Bob out of the car one time,
photo
but that's a
with
different story.
Yeah, Jack locked me out of the car for 2 hours. That was cool.
Yeah, Joe Palm was there mixing everything for Telegraph Hill Records. That was sweet. I'm sure he got it to sound really good. Those guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, it was a weird room to actually like perform in because there's so much space there and the sound can really go everywhere, but it says a lot for them to be able to dial in everything
Yeah, I was
and make
talking
it
to
sound
him,
really
too.
cool on the actual recording of it.
Yeah, because it was very spacious, and the acoustics of the place. We weren't quite sure how that was going to play out, but it worked really well. Very satisfied with how it sounded.
I remember talking to them, Telegraph Hill guys, and I was like, how are you guys going to work with this? And they said, don't worry about it, we got it. That was it. That's all they said. They said, no, it sounds fine.
The We Star crew
So
did
they're
an
pretty
amazing
confident.
job.
The whole crew working there was prepared, ready to go, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a really good day for both, So
Yeah,
I noticed
so
how
good calls.
I noticed how stress free it was too. Like we started such a good job. Like we were able to just go in, super stress free, like relax, like play our music, like how we do in the practice room, and really have fun with it. It was actually such a pleasant experience. It wasn't no jitters. It was really
It
nice.
felt like we were just hanging, jamming.
Yeah, we were just hanging and jamming. It was really cool like that.
So we've been very fortunate to have a number of locations to perform at, despite the pandemic. Seagert Lanes, for one, a very good place. We played there
Delvetto's.
several times. Delvetto's Pizzeria, Neptune.
What's up, Vinny?
Shout out to Vinny
Shout out to
from
Vinny.
Delvetto's and Don from the
Seagert
Lanes.
Lanes, and then Bar Anticipation,
Bar A.
also known as Bar A in Belmar.
Snipes Farm in the summer.
Snipes Farm in Morrisville, Pennsylvania. So we've had we've had a good number of opportunities that we're grateful for under our belt. Dating back to the beginning of the pandemic when things just kind of like were up in the air, we didn't really know what we were going to do. Like looking back on that now versus where we are today is
Well,
kind of an
that's
exciting
why I'm
feeling.
even in the band in the first place is because of it.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
I mean, we
That
had
never
a
happened when
show.
Things switched.
Yeah.
We had that show booked at the Pony where we were supposed to open for Splintered Sunlight at the end of March last year, but right
of
when the
course.
shutdown happened, we had to cancel that, and that was pretty much around the time where Nigel kind of stopped playing bass with us. So we kind of were stagnant for a little bit until we got Bob and
and I wouldn't have met these guys if it wasn't for the Daydream gig.
Yep.
Because it had to be there because there wasn't anywhere else that was doing anything.
Yeah.
Right.
It kind of just was like a perfect storm. So actually, we kind of made out good during the pandemic. We made the best of it, and it kind of,
Yeah, it was perfect
kind of
timing.
almost helped us kind
Yeah.
of solidify the lineup we have.
Yeah.
I mean, and adding Brian, like Pete said before, adding Brian to the mix, having another guitarist to kind of just help add more to the sound and fill it out more. I mean, it's kind of nice for me and Pete both because, I mean, everyone in the band, but especially for us because, we can lay back more and not have to, if we want to take a step back from playing at any point in the song, we know everybody's got it filled out nice enough. It's not going to sound empty or anything.
Exactly.
And it kind of gives you more freedom and creativity as far as like what you want to do. I mean,
Coop and I have had quite an interplay since the time we started playing together, always listening to what each other's doing and sort of just work off one another. Like, when one of us is soloing, the other is very attentive to, what holding down on the rhythms and vice versa. And now having Brian in that mix, it's kind of like the three of us have our own new and improved kind of interplay, if you will, which is cool because when Coop's taking a key solo. Brian and I are doing very distinct, like different rhythm guitar parts, or when one of us is playing the lead, we all kind of hear and try to get in between the spaces to try and, fill out the music is the best way we know how.
Yeah, and that's all that is, a lot of that's coming from the time we have during the pandemic to practice. It kind of gives us some time to polish things off, learn stuff, and
give like a fresh start.
Yeah, definitely. It's
not
definitely
having the pressure of needing to get ready for the next set list or the next gig or whatever, which we're not always stressed about depending on the gig, but sometimes we go into it with like a rough set list and that might change.
Yeah.
But every practice we had, for the most part, like in the beginning when we had these guys, there was not really that pressure to get ready for the next gig, so we had a lot of freedom at practice to just polish up and have fun and really figure out, really strengthen the bond as a band and figure out what we want to do and how to act as a unit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's funny because we were, it's crazy to think like right before we were a 4-piece, and like we said, we had Nigel on the bass, and Nigel's a killer bass player too, no question. I'd happily give him a shout out.
Definitely, Sentient Moss, great
and
band.
Tofu, they're killer too.
Killer dudes.
But having Bob come in was great. Him and I worked really well together, and then we were like pretty originally set on being a 4-piece with just one guitar. And then for me, what did it for me was once I heard Brian play, I was like, oh, we need this guy.
Yeah, definitely icing on the cake.
Well, also taken outside the music. I mean, I told these guys I've been in a bunch of bands, and things work and you have a great time, but music isn't always everything in a band. You have to be friends first, and like this group, that's probably my favorite thing about it. Like everyone's genuinely friends, and we have an awesome time. We have a fun time together first, and the music's just another byproduct of that fun.
Exactly. It doesn't feel like work. Like it's fun work, if you will. Because we love hang out together and
we hang out together.
Talking the talk
every weekend if we can. We just hang out, go to see shows.
Eat pizza together.
Grilled cheese, actually.
It's nice.
I think that's a good foundation that we have, and everything else kind of comes naturally. Because if we didn't get along, well on a personal basis, I think it would make things more difficult, or the motivation wouldn't be there.
Music would suffer. Stage chemistry could suffer. That's why we have such a good stage chemistry. I think it's because we all genuinely enjoy each other's presence.
I think the audience recognizes that, and the energy reflects, and
when they see us smiling,
see us smiling, it makes them happy, and then when we see them happy, it makes us want to play harder. So. It works out really well.
But I mean, like I said, I think a lot of it goes back to Sandy Mac's Sunday hotel jams, because every Sunday, we would all meet up there. It was a free show, and we kind of just would do our thing, and who knows who would sit in or what we would play, but that's what made it fun, and it was always just a group of people having a great time every Sunday. And even Delvetto's kind of became an extension of that during COVID. And after Sandy kind of, was like, I need to stay home and be safe because of COVID, these guys kind of started taking over and doing Sundays.
Sandy asked me if we want to fill in for a while he took a break. And so me, Brian, and Bob readily agreed. And we've done a couple shows where it was all of us, or there's various configurations. Sometimes John comes and plays percussion. It's kind of like a thing on the side. It's not, we don't build them as Pete Tonti Band shows, but everyone who, knows what's up.
Kind of trying to carry kind of trying to at least hold those Sunday slots as jams, because we owe a big thank you to Sandy, because without him we all would not have met each other other than me and Pete. Because if you think about it, all
and those Sunday shows are also a great way for us to build up the chops and throw out some things that we want to experiment with and kind of see how the crowd will react, because it won't really hurt us as much as if it's a show that we're like at Bar A where we have to sell tickets, and we're literally guaranteeing that they're getting the best bang for their buck. Not that we're not ever going to give them anything less, but those Sunday shows is where we can really tighten up those bonds and really get our improv skills a lot better in front of a live audience.
It keeps that Jamly community kind of together too, because having a weekly free event like that, it's just something out there where no matter who you are, where you come from, if you're into coming out and seeing music and being part of a community, you can do that, and I think Pete and me both have been one of Sandy's like go-to calls for gigs and stuff like that for a long time now. Yeah. So
I started playing with Sandy probably about 5 years ago. And then through him, I just gotten to meet so many people and really get to know like the people like involved in the music scene and around here. And it's just been, really exciting. I'm so grateful that he's opened that door for me. And if it weren't for him, I know I would have met Kevin and probably not Brian or Bob. So
likewise. Well, we probably would have met eventually. Maybe.
Yeah,
made it a lot.
But that was like we jammed, and that was like it's different. Like when you meet somebody versus when you meet somebody through a bond like jamming or playing music.
It's
together.
like an unspoken kind of chemistry.
Definitely.
There's like a different level of
especially when it works.
Math with sound.
I met all you guys through music in some way, shape, or form, which is what's so cool, Like whether on or off stage, it was in a moment where like there was just high creativity was in the air. You know.
Mm-hmm. That's probably the coolest part for me about when I first went to a Sunday show. Sandy Sunday show. The coolest part is, and it's cool doing it now at Del Vito's and there's a reason why we don't say it's Pete Tonti Band at Del Vito's. It's because it's really just us and all of our friends. Mm-hmm. It's an opportunity to not play your normal gig. It's kind of just we like to just hang out and jam with our friends because really the people that come to see us play have become our friends. Mm-hmm. They've certainly become my friends. So
absolutely,
yeah. And at the same time, I think it's cool, I was saying earlier, John and I go back so far. So really, thinking about, when we were in middle school together, in band class, and, now, today we're...
Crosswick, our first band. Who's, we still get together and jam whenever Kurt comes into town, and we can get Nate.
Yep.
Nate to come jam with us. Yeah, it's been a long time, me and you.
Definitely.
Well, that's another great thing about this project. It kind of brought your guys' relationship as far as friendship and music, back to like a regular thing,
Right, because
I'm sure you both miss.
I had never played with Brian and Bob in a band prior to this, the way I have with John and Kevin. So it was kind of like a combination of projects like what John and I had going since we were teenagers and kids, and Kevin and I the last few years, and now with the five of us together, it's just its own thing.
Yeah, you and me originally we had the plan for.
We were going to put together a Dead tribute.
Just a Dead tribute as well. And that's where Brian was going to come in, was the Dead tribute. And you're like, well, we got everybody in Pete Tonti Band in the Dead tribute just without Brian. So why don't we
just combine it into one? Yeah. So that's what's cool too.
We do.
Yeah. We still slip in. We'll slip in, some Grateful Dead and Fish tunes, and we also been diving more like some obscure stuff. Both in and out of the jam territory. Humphreys McGee,
Goose,
Wolfpack.
Yep.
Yeah.
So some classic jazz.
We combine lots of influences all across the board, ranging from bluegrass to heavy metal, essentially. So
we don't always do the songs kind of the same either. We kind of like to do mashups where we'll take two songs that have the same key and just throw them together and make it just one super long jam. Now a lot of people seem to really like that because you're changing up what it normally is. You're not just
we take
sitting through the same old jam band stuff every single time.
We take the road of the unexpected, the unpredictable route rather.
Sometimes
just
when
you
we
think
have an
we're
opportunity,
bust into something else, like we could be pulling something out of left field that you wouldn't even expect, and
like the King of the Hill theme.
Yeah. I was just thinking that. I was gonna say, if we have the opportunity to slip something in somewhere that like we're hearing musically works, we're gonna do it. Especially if it's something that like we know the audience will never expect. Like the American Psycho jam too, which is
opens up with Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, it's a Rage Against the Machine, Grateful Dead, and Pink Floyd mashup.
Sometimes with Deep Purple in there too.
Very all over
something
the place.
else we can throw in there too in the future. It's constantly evolving and changing and shifting, and
there'll be times where we're on stage and we're in the middle of something, and one of us will get an idea, and we'll just turn and say, hey, let's bring it to this, or like I'll turn around to John giving the cue. Well, John and I have an interesting sort of like chemistry. Like we always kind of like know where the other's gonna go, especially John with me. Like if we're playing something and like he hears me going into like some sort of idea, like he almost always knows like where I'm gonna follow.
Well, Pete's been my front man since I was 13 years old, so I know what he's thinking both on and off stage. Honestly, I can read your mind.
I guess you just build that sort of chemistry.
Even when I was in the military, like we would still.
Well, you're good at anticipating stuff. Even for me, like as a keyboardist, it's really, I think of it as a percussion instrument, but it's kind of interesting because I find a lot of the time when I'm doing like weird offbeat rhythmic stuff that I wouldn't really expect him to like catch because I'm just improvising it, He'll be on these hits with me on the cymbal crashes and like with the kick drum, and he'll have these hits syncopated with me sometimes where it's completely improv. We're not planning this. It's just he's good at anticipating it, and naturally we just kind of tend to like, go towards
if I'm watching John, then I tag along in there too.
Yeah,
and then we get this whole.
If I see Bob doing the neck thing, that means I know we're doing a funk tune.
It's the language. It's the language of music that, like, is what we do. That's our shtick. So.
Well, I remember even one time Oteil Burbridge was talking about at Roots Rock the telepathic aspect of music and how like to be a musician you almost have to have like some kind of telepathy when you're on stage to communicate without words. I mean, and I feel like most musicians can relate to that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. We just released our first single today, as a matter of fact, Feeling Upside Down. It's available for streaming on all major platforms. Spotify, Apple Music.
We got some shows coming up too. We got the LNC, was it LNC Event Center? It's called
in Huntington Valley,
Valley, PA.
That's on March 13th.
And then we got Secret Lanes, March 19th.
My birthday show. It's
possibly
gonna be a fun one.
Yeah. Something in the works for May. Not quite ready to be announced yet, but hopefully soon.
Keep your eye out.
Yeah, I think our main goal is really to try to get as many shows in as many different locations as we can right now, and just kind of spread our name and our music, our message. And I think recording a full-length album is most likely going to be in our future within the next couple months.
Definitely.
Especially depending on where the world is kind of turning. If we're going up or if we're going down, we're going to be still right here working and pushing forward to try to get out as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
No question.
Definitely, and hopefully if COVID if people are able to go out more this summer, we were definitely planning on trying to play more festivals like in
and out of the garden.
Yeah, like in and out of the garden, or similar to outdoor events we played at like Snipes Farm, and try and get out where we can be in front of a big crowd outside safely as well. And
also looking to expand our fan base by going out more and not just sticking to the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
As much as we love Asbury, there are other places that can use some original music.
Check us out on Facebook and Instagram and Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon Music and everything.
Most major streaming platforms.
And Google and on your mom's Alexa and...
Just no Twitter.
No Twitter.
No Twitter.
Pete Tonti Band. Check us out.
I'd like to give a shout out to Tom Riak, who produced our single at Squirrel Ranch Studios, located out of Hamilton, New Jersey. Mastered by Suha Gur. What a name.
Yeah. We want to give a big thank you to the whole We Star team, Give a nice donation to We Star.
Shout out to Jeff Crespi for taking some awesome photos. To Telegraph Hill Records as well. We thank you.
And everybody that comes to see us play.
From the bottom of our hearts.
Oh yeah, guys, enjoy the 2 songs that we got for you. Pete, what songs are they?
Everytime and Good Ain't Free.